So I suck at drawing.
Unfortunately, it's actually something I've really enjoyed recently. I never really grew up too artsy, but here's some old pictures I did, and my dad even framed them. They're actually really nice frames. Now, if I'm being honest, I have drawn a few things that I'm proud of, but they've never been like my own. But going forward, I really want to develop my own style, my own art, and my own kind of career in this sense. And so I thought the best place to start would just be a simple art challenge.
You again. Welcome back. Drawing is hard. It always will be, but what's even harder is getting started. What do you focus on? There's so much to learn. What's important?
Okay, so honestly, when I first started filming this one, I didn't really look at the video before I started day one, so I confidently drew the circle and then later realized after I had drawn a ton of different little circles as just like a little like warm-up prep for drawing a lot of circles, I realized the very first challenge was to draw a sphere and not just a circle. Yeah, but it worked out anyways. So if I'm being honest, the first week was a little bit boring. The first 4 days, you're straight up just drawing circles, and then we start getting into more 3D shapes. I do think this first week would actually be a really good drawing warm-up before you start your actual projects. Here's some examples of those 3D objects, just some simple spheres. Looking back, they don't look that great, but that's the whole point. We're here to progress.
So on day 5, I hit my first obstacle. I was really struggling to just kind of visualize these shapes, and it just wasn't happening for me. Up until then, we had just been drawing circles. Easy. And for myself, I'm pretty confident when it comes to like copying something and drawing it. That's kind of where I excel and kind of why I'm doing this whole transition from where I can be a little more independent with how I draw and not have to completely rely on copying something. So on the challenge for day number 5, I kind of got the urge to just copy what Marc did and call it a day and move on to the next one. But unfortunately, my ego didn't let me do that, and I kind of just took the day to think about it, and coming into the next day, I redid the challenge and had a lot more success with it. I think I just kind of cleared my head. Something that helped me push through day 5 was just looking around at objects around me and kind of just using those as a reference rather than trying to do it purely from imagination. I'm not kind of at that level of drawing yet, so I was just kind of looking around at different shapes and using those for my examples. Let's start on week number 2.
During this challenge was probably the most consistent I've ever been with drawing and a little tired. So coming into week number 2, I needed to pick me up. So from day 8 and onward, I feel like I gained a lot of confidence and also was just a lot happier while I was doing this drawing. The previous days had felt like I was just doing an art challenge, whereas day number 8, I kind of decided to go back on my roots and just draw something in the way that I typically do, which is just having a reference beside me and drawing it. After that point, I was able to just carry through the rest of the challenges a little more confidently. Something that stuck with me for the rest of the challenge was how grateful I was to have hit that obstacle just after day 5. It really made me realize that no matter how good or bad the end product of my drawing is after each day, I'm still learning, and it's okay to learn, it's okay to fail, because that one failed drawing is better than not attempting that drawing at all. And at least from failing, you can learn from your mistakes, you can carry that into your next piece, and hopefully learn something from it.
So I just finished week 2, day 14, and I'm feeling a lot more confident than I was at the beginning of this challenge, and also at the end of the first week. I found that these last 7 drawings went a lot more smoothly. I'm slowly getting a grasp of creating these objects in 3D space and kind of getting a better understanding of their form and dimensions and how they should kind of act in a 3D space, I guess. So for these past 2 weeks, it's probably been the most consistent that I've drawn in a really long time. I usually kind of just doodle randomly when I'm feeling it, but kind of just sticking to a more structured routine and just drawing these things that I'm not really comfortable with or used to drawing with has really been a good challenge for myself. Let's start week number 3. Right, so? Yeah, she's real enthusiastic. Okay, we did it, people. We made it. We're done. We made it to day 30. Oh, we're not done, actually. This is just the last day of the challenge, but I'm still pretty happy. I'm pretty stoked. We made it all the way to day 30. Look at where we started. Day 1 with a stupid ass circle. It's the last challenge, and all it is a skull. And I'm pretty happy. I didn't really say anything. Very first day, I actually drew a dinky little skull. Yeah, there we go. Didn't really think much of it, but I thought kind of with this being a whole challenge, it'd be nice to have a drawing at the very beginning that I did, and then drawing at the very end of the same thing, and just kind of compare them. Not really compare them, but just, you know, see if I improved at all. Day 30. I did it. Now I'm actually finished. Now I'm actually completed it. First off, I think I'm pretty proud of myself. This is the first time I really did any kind of like lengthy challenge and actually complete it. In my mind, it didn't really seem that different from the very first one that I did in terms of like aesthetics and how it looked, but comparing it now, it actually does look a lot better. It has a lot better shape, composition, the shading, and like, so I'm actually pretty happy with myself. And now after completing everything, it hasn't really changed me. Like, I'm not some super good artist now, but I do think it kind of just allowed me to practice more and allow myself to kind of just look at the details a little bit closer, pay attention to the shapes, 3D dimensions, and even just kind of my confidence with lines and like where to put things. Yay me. I'll catch you in the next one. I have a whole bunch of these planned out, unfortunately, so until I complete all these kind of things that I want, I'm not really going to start my actual goals or my reasons for doing these kind of challenges, but on to the next one, I guess.